Hello and welcome back to the channel. Ninja Turtle here, and we've got a brand new custom that I finished recently. We have a new Pokemon, and actually a newer character, but a new Pokemon custom here. Zinnia from Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. She's also in Pokemon Masters as a playable character, which is where I got to know her. And I'm glad she's now my second Pokemon custom action figure. And we also have Rayquaza back here in the background. So we're going to get into how I made this custom figure and all the parts and pieces and stuff that go into it. Rayquaza is the accessory here, but let's go ahead and talk about it because I did not make this Rayquaza. So we'll focus on one thing at a time, but we'll start with the Pokemon. Let's talk about Rayquaza. Alright, so Rayquaza or Rayquaza, however you desire to say the name. This is not obviously a Marvel Legend whatsoever, as I make most of my figures based off of Marvel Legend parts and pieces. This is a model kit, so I built this very easily. Only took me, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes just going through the instructions and stuff, but no tools needed. It all just broke apart and just put it all together. The instructions were relatively easy to figure out, and the scale, it's a little on the small side again compared to the overall size of Zinnia, but I'm not sitting here trying to make it like actually scale to size or anything like that. I don't care about that as long as the details look good, and I really like this model kit. I had a lot of fun building it. It still articulates a little bit, so you can move the arms in and out, and so I hate this little cloud thing. The mouth opens and closes, so you can do some stuff like that. These are stickers for the eyes. Each of these parts on the body twist and turn, so you can do all sorts of contortionist things like that on each body part. So that's really cool. And yeah, it's a really sick, it's one of my favorite, it's probably my favorite dragon type Pokemon. And this is another reason why I'm glad to make Zinnia, because this is her Pokemon. So for at least in Pokemon Masters, I, for the record, have not really played Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I own one of them. I just never got around to playing it. But yeah, this is a model kit. One day I'll play that game and actually figure out what her story is in that game. But yeah, this is really cool. All these pieces, again, they just detach from the little kit. You don't need any tools whatsoever, just your hands, and this is going to look super cool. I already have had it on my shelf with my Pokemon characters for a week now, and it looks super sick. And alright, that's it. Again, there's nothing really special. The stickers are the eyes, and the tongue has a sticker on it, and everything else is just a piece off of the model kit that was put together. So let's go ahead and talk about Zinnia now. Alright, let's go ahead and get back into Zinnia herself. Once again, she's a relatively new Pokemon character that debuted in Alpha Sapphire and Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. But she's also playable in Pokemon Masters, which is where I got to know her a little bit more. And she's one of my favorite characters there. So I decided to make this figure based off of that. So I'm pretty sure she looks relatively the same in the actual Pokemon games. As Pokemon Masters is pretty good at that. So anyway, there's a couple of things I want to go over, and in particular, we'll start at the bottom like always, but these are just looking at her toes, her feet. These are kind of a custom made foot or whatever. You see there's some sculpt on there. What I did is I took a regular foot from a Blink figure. So these right here, these are from Blink, and just got the Dremel and sanded down just the front part of it just to make it a little thinner and make some room, so that way I added sculpt, and that's just epoxy sculpt on the toes, just sculpting out her toes there. I think they came out okay. They're workable. They're not super detailed, but these are the same lower legs, or excuse me, feet from off of this Blink figure. So one reason why I use this Blink figure in particular, to give a quick little lesson on how the feet work with Marvel Legends, these are a little shorter than normal, and normal I would consider like a Kate Bishop size. So these are a female beetle feet and legs, so this is that style and so on. These feet are, you know, a good average, but they're for pretty much an adult size character. Where the Blink ones, they can be used on adults as well, but they are a little bit shorter. Here's a direct comparison. So let's try to get this on camera without blocking the light here. But yeah, you can see, make sure that's lined up good. Yeah, so yeah, you can see that the Blink one, this green, is a little shorter, and they're pretty close to being lined up if I can keep my hands straight. But yeah, you can see the purple is a little bit longer, so these are bigger feet than this one. So I tend to, if I need to use flats or something like that, I'll use the Blink feet, or feet that size on shorter characters, because obviously short characters don't tend to have big feet. So that way it works out, and that's what I used here on Zinnia. Okay, so for the most part, it is an X-23 body as far as the arms go, the upper torso and the lower torso. All of that is the exact same from a different X-23, with some additional details, adding this sculpt here for this like pouch-ish thing on her waist, and then adding sculpt going around for that rope going around there, and then this sticking out, is actually sticking out of her side, is some plastic that I set up, so it's actually coming off of her. But for the most part, there's a little bit of sculpt down here as well. But yeah, just the upper torso is from the X-23. I didn't use the lower legs for a couple of reasons. One, if you saw these legs painted on X-23, they're pretty muscular. Now, I think the height overall, they're about the same, give or take. Actually, you know what? Looking at this, Zinnia's shorter. I don't know why that is. Anyway, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But in general, these legs, these on here, are much more muscular, right? So I didn't want to use those thighs in general. Just if I were to paint them, she'd have very muscular legs. I meant to bring my Misty because I wanted to compare the two, but I'll have to do that later on. So you'll see, because I use these legs on Misty, and they're much more muscular than these. These legs are less muscular because I used the Moira legs, which are about the same length, but overall, but the thighs are a lot less muscular. And the other reason why I use these legs is because of this little piece on her, this little dragon thing on her right leg. So using these Moira legs, it's all one piece, one leg. If I were to use these style legs on the X-23, they have that swivel at the bottom here. So that would be difficult to sculpt on with all of that sculpt going around, wrapping around her leg like that. So I didn't do that. I used, again, the Moira legs, and that sculpt is wrapping all the way around her leg. And that would just make it a little bit more difficult, especially to get this dragon head on there, which you can get a little zoom in on that. You can see a little bit of the colors. I went for like a rainbow type of thing to get that. That's her, what's that thing called? I don't know, the Rayquazaite or Mega Crystal or something like that. I don't really remember all the details, but I know that's what that is for Mega Rayquaza. So yeah, that's wrapped around the leg, and I didn't want to have that on the swivel because it would, you know, get in the way and have one part on the lower part and another part on the upper part. So it's just a lot easier, and it makes the legs look less muscular using these. So there's not that much muscle definition on these legs whatsoever, and I dig that. So one thing that happened, and I actually did paint, by the way. This pen is flesh tone painted, but the inside had this other color, and so when I pushed it through, that paint on the inside got messed up, or it got onto the pin. So you can see this is painted flesh tone on this side. But yeah, that was a whole nother thing. A weird thing that did happen also, I think there was some burn. You can see some discoloration right there. So when I was putting the pins together, you have to heat it up. I think my hair dryer burned a little bit on this leg and a little bit down here on the foot, which you can't barely see. But on the foot, I think it's discolored. I think it got burned that way, which totally sinks. But oh well. There might be a little bit burning on this the hip part too. Anyway, most of the colors for this were actually used. I actually used Angelus acrylic leather paint, which could be another reason why it burned. So all of the color for the feet. Not the actual flesh tone. The flesh tone was, I believe I used Model Masters for all of the flesh tone. But the color for the feet and the shorts, that's all the same. And I use Angelus for that. The leg color and the little cape color here, that's all Angelus. And the color on the, the rope, that's Angelus. The black on her chest or her shirt or whatever, her top, that is actually Model Masters. And then the red is Angelus. The lipstick color is Angelus. That's a scarlet red, went with that. And then her hair color black, that's also Angelus. And then the little bead on her back of her head, that's also Angelus. And all of these little leaf things on here, that's also Angelus acrylic leather paint. So I did that for most of this figure, mostly because I already had the colors. These are the colors that I wanted, so I went ahead and used it, and I didn't have to mix any colors, and that was the big thing too. Also, the little dragon, that's a blue whatever it's called, I don't remember, but it's also Angelus acrylic leather paint. So I use that a lot for this figure, and I think it turned out pretty well, other than some of the, again, like the paint being a little burned here and there from that, which I don't normally use Angelus for an entire figure, but I did today. So let's actually take this cape off. I forgot about some details here, and we'll talk about the cape shortly. So yeah, she's got back out. I got a little bow in the back. So this little bow came from a White Rabbit figure because she has a bow tie, and this is the bow tie of the bow tie, glued onto her back, and then the little ribbons are just painted on. So sculpt here for her pockets on her shorts, and that's about it there. And the actual cape itself, I don't really know. So actually a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, I was on eBay and I was buying capes, like Polaris capes, so I can use them for future customs. But I ended up buying a lot of capes from this one person that was selling just here's a bunch of capes for a very low price. It had Polaris capes in there, and so I ended up buying it, and it had this one in there too. And I have absolutely no idea what character it originally came from. I don't believe it was from a Marvel Legend. It could have been, but I don't believe so. The original color of it was a very transparent yellow, and I ended up just taking it and cutting it to shape. So all of this, like little tattered pattern back here of cut, I cut that myself. It looked more like a regular cape before all of that, and then I added all of these leaf patterns on there and glued those on. Those are all just plastic. So for the most part, Zinnia's cape, this is a design change that I just went with because it was a lot easier. Her cape doesn't look exactly like that. It does have like a little piece going up off of the neck, and I think that I tried doing that. It didn't work out. I actually tried making the cape out of something else completely, and this was like a last minute change because I wanted something to work, and I think this works just fine without that cone coming off of her neck. Other than that, this is relatively faithful. I do wish her skin tone came out a little darker than I actually did. And then her eyes, I painted them decently, but they're a little off center. So she is looking off a little bit. But other than that, her hair, I had to do a custom job on the hair. Try my best to get that to look good, as close to the character as possible. Yeah, so ended up working it out. So all of this hair is sculpted on with epoxy sculpt, with the exception of this, ponytail thing, and then these two pieces in the back, kind of hard to see. That is actual plastic hair from a different figure that I just cut and glued on, but the most of it is on her face, top of her head, all of that is epoxy sculpt, and is painted. So yeah, that's Zinnia. The only other thing here is that the fists, she's got two fists. Those came from a Miss Marvel figure, which I didn't grab. That's about it. That's the only other thing that I can think of. Let me grab Misty and we can do a Pokemon trainer comparison, and then we can get out of here. Alright, so we have our custom figure Pokemon trainer comparison. My brand new Zinnia with this Misty that I made, I think, a year ago. It's been quite a while that I made this Misty, and I've been looking at it on this Pokemon shelf for this entire time, and finally got someone else I can have up with Misty. I already, though, want to remake this Misty. One, because I think her skin tone's way too dark. I messed that up. I should have went lighter. Two, I forgot to actually paint her hands, because I was supposed to paint smaller hands, because these are shorter arms and a smaller character. I wanted to paint smaller hands, but I forgot to do that, and I forgot to paint these hands, so they actually don't match in flesh tone. You can barely see it from a distance, but they don't match in flesh tone. Secondly, as I was saying before with the legs, these are using the legs from off of X23. You can see how much more muscular they are compared to these legs here. And I want these legs on Misty a lot more, just because I don't want Misty to be that muscular. That was kind of a thing when I was going over the Misty video, is that she was super muscular because of these legs. And then not only are the arms very muscular, but these straps for her suspenders make her shoulders look bigger, so she looks kind of bulky. So I want to remake this Misty at some point. It's not a high priority to me. I also am a little bit better at doing hair. I think this hair is fine, but I think I can do a little bit better now. And yeah, just to get everything to be more the way that I want it to be with Misty. I will be doing more Misty later on, as well, other costumes for Misty. So she'll definitely be taller and have a completely different build anyway. But this Misty, I do want to remake at some point. As far as Zinnia goes, this is the only costume that she has, as far as I understand. So I won't be making any other Zinnias until they release something from Pokemon Masters and end up making that. For the most part, that is it. I do have more Pokemon trainers on the way. The next one is B from Pokemon Sword and Shield. So I have already started gathering materials for that. So she should be up relatively soon. Within the next month, probably, you'll see a B figure. And I have plenty of other Pokemon trainers that I'm going to be making. So I'm excited for that. Also, I didn't make a Pokeball for Zinnia because she has Rayquaza, and the Rayquaza is outside of the Pokeball, right? So I don't want to give her a Pokeball for Rayquaza. And also, her like signature poses with her two fists. So I wanted to give her two fists. Where Misty, she's got a whole bunch of things going on. So yeah, that's it. Look forward to seeing those customs of other Pokemon characters in the future, as well as other customs on this channel. I have a few that I'm prepping, and I'm leveling up some skill and getting things ready. Like this one happened with her super long shorts. I messed that up. They should have been shorter than this. So that's why I want to remake this one. They'll end up looking more like this. when I remake this Misty. So there you go. There's things that I've grown and gotten better with over the past year, and you can see a big difference. Also, super glossy Misty, I don't use that anymore, and so that's why her skin is a lot more flat looking compared to super glossy Misty over here. So yeah, just showing you growth right in front of your eyes. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. You can see a lot more of my videos, upcoming stuff, upcoming content. I got plenty of things to make. Make sure you leave a like on this video and share it. I appreciate you all. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Peace.